Hello, this is John welcoming you to the 1939th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper. Dateline, 30th of January 2014. The readers this week are Angela, Eddie, the other John, with Ian on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include The Poisonous Spider in the Cinema, Fraudsters Preying on the Vulnerable, Pollution, and a surge in 999 ambulance calls. First of all, I have to tell you that last week there were workmen using the room where we normally do the recording. Your readers had to decamp to the big conference room, and the acoustics there were awful, and the quality of the tape wasn't good. We would like to apologize for that. This week we are back to normal, so we have no excuse. And our first story concerns the 999 calls. Enfield has witnessed the highest increase in ambulance call-outs to potentially life-threatening incidents in London over the past 8 months, new figures show. During a presentation at Enfield Council's Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny Panel last Tuesday, Paul Gates, Deputy Director of Operations at the London Ambulance Service NHS Trust, revealed that the number of Category A incidents in the borough went up from 11,590 between April and December 2012 to 13,489 over the same period last year, a 16.4% rise. The borough topped the London list in terms of growth in demand, followed by Bromley, which experienced a 13.8% increase, and the City of London, which reported a 13.2% increase. On average, London witnessed a 6.5% rise in demand. Most 999 calls in Enfield are made along the A10 corridor in the east of the borough, in Edmonton, Ponders End, Enfield Highway, and Freezywater. Enfield Town is also an area of high demand. The figures have raised concerns about the level of ambulance cover in the borough, particularly now the accident and emergency unit at Chase Farm Hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, has been shut. Ambulances take the nearest call wherever they are, meaning crews can start their shift in one part of the city and finish in another. Retired paramedic John Jewson said, "Around 4,000 people are moving into the borough every year. I don't think we have the cover to deal with that. And because we have not got the alternatives in place for the closure of Chase Farm A&E, people will call an ambulance because they know they will get treatment quicker." The other concern is that ambulances don't stay in the same area. So not having an A&E in the north of Enfield is a problem because ambulances will not necessarily return there. Asked whether the borough would get extra ambulance cover to meet increased demand, Mr. Gates said he could not provide councillors with a clear answer. "We are not actually sure why the number of incidents has increased, but this is a piece of research we are currently going through, and it will map the ambulances we need," he said. An LAS spokesman said in December that the Trust had put in place an additional fast response car in Edmonton to cover the borough.
A teenager has admitted she feels destroyed after a poisonous spider bit her as she watched a film, leaving her so full of venom that she lost a chunk of flesh in her hand. Childcare student Stephanie Georgiou, 18, was watching a horror film at the Cineworld Cinema in Southbury Road, Enfield, on January the 2nd, the day after celebrating her 18th birthday, when she felt something like an electric shock as she reached down to place her drink in the cup holder. Her mum, Iota Georgiou, told the Advertiser that although Stephanie felt unwell when she left the cinema, she did not think anything of it until the next morning when she woke up with a swollen, inflamed and itchy hand. When they went to the doctor, Stephanie was told that she had been bitten by a false widow spider and the bite was now seriously infected. She went to the doctors twice, but they told her not to go to the hospital, Mrs. Georgiou said. But a few days later, the teenager's mum was so terrified when her daughter's temperature rocketed and she was weeping with the pain that she immediately called the ambulance. Stephanie of Teal Close, Turkey Street, Enfield, was taken to the Accident and Emergency Department at Barnet Hospital where her hand was treated. But when she went for a routine dressing change at the Urgent Care Centre at Chase Farm Hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, staff pulled back the bandage to reveal a hole in the flesh of her hand where the infection had destroyed part of her skin. In the space of a week and a half, Stephanie underwent 3 operations, and on Saturday, surgeons performed a skin graft. She said that her experiences over the past month have left her feeling emotionally drained. "I have cried every day since," she admitted. "I'm dreading when they take the bandage off. I can't bear the thought of it because it's just not going to be the same. They told me that because they've had to take skin from my arm to graft onto my hand, it will be slightly lighter. It will never be the same again." Mum and daughter are furious with the cinema chain, which they say have not responded quickly enough to the threat of a poisonous spider infestation and has denied the presence of any false widows. In a statement to the Advertiser, a Cineworld spokesperson said, "Customer safety is our absolute priority, and we will be instructing a specialist pest control team to carry out an immediate and thorough inspection of the cinema. They found no evidence of any spiders. Pest control teams carry out regular checks at all our cinemas, and this work continues to be going on an ongoing basis."
Police are warning vulnerable and elderly people in the borough to be on the alert for fraudsters posing as couriers. Enfield Criminal Investigation Department is warning of crooks posing as police officers who phone vulnerable residents. They convince their victims that they have caught a thief who has been using a copy of their bank card. The con artist says that in order to prosecute the thief, the police need the actual bank card as well as their PIN number. As the victim is often not able physically to go to the police station, the fraudster offers to arrange to have it picked up by courier. As soon as the card is collected, the victim's bank account is cleared out. To reassure the victim that everything is above board, the fraudsters insist that as soon as the courier comes to collect the card, they should immediately hang up and cancel their card with the bank. However, the criminal does not hang up, so the victim is in fact talking to the con artist, not the bank. Police are working with minicab firms to identify any suspicious behaviour by fares. The suspects have posed as police officers, bank employees and shop staff. Detective Constable Emily Bugg of Enfield CID said there have been 5 incidents of this type reported by police in Enfield since January the 16th. If you're related to or care for someone who may be vulnerable for this crime, please make sure that you're aware of these fraudsters. And if there are any doubt that a caller is genuine, please tell them to hang up and call the police on 101 or contact their safer neighbourhood schemes, making sure they are using another line and check for a dial tone before ringing. Police add that you should never give your PIN number or bank card to anyone. Dial 999 if a crime is taking place.
Green campaigners are cautiously welcoming the introduction of air quality monitors in the borough, but warn that the problem will escalate further without firm action. Enfield Council last week announced plans to roll out 100 technologically advanced monitors in hotspots across the borough. With one of London's most polluted roads, the North Circular, snaking a path through the south of the borough, thousands of cars pass through Enfield every day, pumping out tons of toxic exhaust fumes. The council believes that putting state-of-the-art sensors in a range of locations will allow it to keep a lid on pollution. But Green Party activist Douglas Coker warned that might not be sufficient. Speaking to the Advertiser after the scheme was announced, Mr. Coker admitted, "It does seem like a very interesting idea," before adding, "It's all very well to build up this data, but realistically, what can they do about the M25, the A10, or the North Circular? There are many sets of lights along the North Circular, and we know that when cars are stationary with their engines on, they pump out pollution. We would look closely at making sure there is less stop and start of traffic everywhere." Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "By placing so many of these high-tech sensors at various key points around Enfield, it will give us an even more detailed picture of what parts of the borough may have more of an issue with pollution than others, and what pollutants are where. That means we can take steps to clean up our air and protect residents from potential harm."
A suspected sham marriage was busted by immigration officials after a tip-off that all was not as it seemed at a register office wedding. Acting on information that the relationship between a 44-year-old Nigerian man and a 39-year-old woman from the Czech Republic might not be genuine, Home Office immigration enforcement officers descended on Enfield's register office in Gentleman's Row last week. Officers arrested the Nigerian groom, who they discovered was in the country illegally, having overstayed his visa. They also found he was carrying £500 in cash, which they believe was his fee for the bride. I paid 7 and 6pence for mine. The man was held in custody and now faces being kicked out of the country. His would-be bride was questioned by officers and later released. David Seymour Smith, head of the North London Home Office Immigration Enforcement Team, said, "This is an example of the successful work we are doing to combat sham weddings and civil partnerships in North London. We work closely with registrars across the capital to prevent people from abusing the marriage system in a bid to get round our immigration laws. Where we receive information that a wedding may be suspicious, we will investigate and, if necessary, intervene and arrest those involved. I would urge anyone thinking of entering a sham marriage to think again, as there is every chance that you will be detained and removed from the country." Andrew Stafford, Cabinet Member for Finance and Property at Enfield Council, said, "Enfield Council works hard to prevent all crime, and I'm delighted we've been able to team up with the Home Office to prevent this particular scam. It is unfair on Enfield residents and taxpayers across the United Kingdom for people to enter the country illegally and take state handouts and benefits that could and should go to more deserving families."
An Enfield primary school welcomes teachers from across Europe to see how it uses advanced technology in its classrooms. More than 400 teachers from across the continent visited Bowes Primary School in Bowes Road, Palmer's Green, to learn about the scale of advanced technology on display at the school. The teachers took photos of the students using gadgets such as iPads as part of their everyday school life. Deputy Head Teacher Gulev Karael believes the school has harnessed the boom in modern technology, which is essential to the children's learning. She said, "From a very young age, we start getting the pupils familiar with technology. Every child in year 4, 5 and 6 has their own iPad, which shows their development and results in all subjects. I definitely see that it is motivating and inspiring children, and it is making teaching even easier. Pupils can do the work and share it out on their devices instead of having sheets of paper. It's making the style of teaching easier as well." But Ms. Cariel also believes that the school can go too far down the technology route and feels a balance must be struck. She added, "I think there is a balance. We are not saying it's all for technology. We just believe that, like a book, It's just another tool or media because children are aware of it and we should use it as it will make our lives easier. Every adult has a device where they can make an instant assessment of their pupils and parents will have online access to these results. Every year we are looking to develop that further. 2 teachers from Sweden, Johanna Jacobson and Karen Wend, were inspired by the facilities. They said, "The technology here is amazing. I wish I could stay here for weeks. There are so many things that we want to learn and so many things that we want to know about. We have taken photographs. It is the way the children are able to work on their own we find fantastic. They have their own green screen, which I have never seen at another school. We will definitely be taking tips back to our school." Pupils Toby 11 and Tilly 10 revealed how much they enjoyed using the devices in the class. They said, "It's been really great to use these things in class because we have all got our work on our own iPads, so nothing can get lost at home." People who don't have iPads at home get the chance to enjoy using them as part of school.
Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows has called on councillors to use planning powers to limit the number of betting shops in the latest political row over gambling in the borough. Earlier this month, Mr Burrows asked the Minister for Local Government, Nick Bowles, if Enfield Council had used Article 4 powers of the Town and Country Planning Act to limit the number of betting outlets. Responding that this was not the case, Mr Bowles said that such powers had been used elsewhere. Under current legislation, betting shops are grouped alongside banks and estate agents and other financial services and can be opened in buildings previously used as a pub or cafe without planning permission. But if the council applies for a direction under Article 4, bookmakers have to submit an application to open a new betting shop. Mr Burrows has also warned about the growth of fixed-odd betting terminals which allow customers to place bets on roulette games and simulated horse racing. The number of machines is limited to 4 per shop. It is feared that bookmakers are getting around the law by opening more branches, often in deprived areas. The MP has said, "Half the revenue from bookmakers now come from these machines, and it increases proliferation of betting shops and creates more problem gamblers. We can all play our part, and while the government review is ongoing, the council must also play its part and use the powers that it has available to it, as Barking and Dagenham Council has done." But Chris Bond, the Enfield Cabinet Member on Environment, said, "Using Article 4 is extremely cumbersome as we have to pass a motion at full council and apply to government. We can only use it for big projects. We wrote to the Minister 2 years ago arguing for a change in the law. That is what should happen and would be very simple to achieve by putting betting shops in their own planning class. Asked whether the government, which has resisted planning reform on betting shops, was delaying taking action by insisting on review, Mr Burrows said it would not be as long as there are people like me putting pressure on the government that they will look into this seriously and deal with it. Enfield has around 140 betting shops, with a staggering 26 in the Edmonton Green ward alone."
And now a couple of short crime stories. Firstly, a man has been arrested after he punched a pensioner on an Enfield bus. The 21-year-old hit the 82-year-old victim in the chest after an altercation on the W8 bus in London Road, Enfield Town. The man has been bailed to return to an East London police station mid-February following the assault on Monday, January the 20th. And secondly, Upper Edmonton has been named among the top 10 burglary hotspots in the UK, according to figures. In a study by comparison website Money Supermarket, figures revealed that London has 12 districts or boroughs in the top 20. Coming in 8th position was Upper Edmonton, with 32 of every 1,000 homeowners in the district claiming for theft or burglary. The area with the highest rate in the country was the Manchester area of Barlow Moor, with 45 homeowners in every 1,000 being burgled.
This is a letter from John Kay, an Enfield councillor who's one of those representing Highlands Ward. He says, Enfield's Labour Council has one of the worst records in London when it comes to supporting people with a visual impairment, according to a report by the Royal National Institute for Blind People. This is a very poor performance compared to our Conservative-controlled neighbours, Barnet, which is one of the best boroughs in London for carrying out local needs assessments effectively. Following an examination of joint strategic needs assessment, the local needs of blind and partially sighted people and those at risk of developing sight loss are not being prioritised by Enfield Borough Council. There is little or no information regarding sight loss or sensory impairment in this borough, and in the 21st century that's not good enough.
A new pop-up shop initiative to fill an empty shop front in Enfield Town will start in February. Organised by the Enterprise Enfield, the new pop-up emporium in Savoy Parade, Southbury Road, Enfield Town, will open from Tuesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. From Tuesday, February the 4th, 6 new businesses will get the chance to set up their own independent trading areas for a fortnight before the next set of businesses take their place. The scheme is designed to help early traders who do not yet have their own premises to test trade their products from a high street outlet and will be overseen by Enterprise Enfield. The first new retailers will sell a variety of products, from skincare products to cakes and pastries. Des Johnson, Enterprise Enfield's chief executive, said, "We are delighted to be involved in this exciting new business scheme. It is an excellent opportunity for young business owners to test trade their products, but it is also something different for Enfield shoppers who will be curious to see what's on offer in the pop-up emporium, and it also encourages them to this particular corner of Enfield Town and to the surrounding retailers as well. We will be holding some one-off special activities, demonstrations and events in the shop too. The first day of trading will be opened by Enfield entrepreneur Laban Romes, known for winning investment on BBC's Dragon's Den for his gold-plating business Gold Genie. For more information, email info@enterpriseenfield.org or call 0208 443 5457. That email address once again is email@enterpriseenfield.org, Enterprise Enfield being all one word.
And now a couple of small items. The first about Jobseekers allowance. The number of people in Edmonton aged 25 and over claiming Jobseekers allowance, JSA, for more than 2 years has increased by 22%. Figures from the labour market statistics may have revealed an overall drop in unemployment in Edmonton, but they also show a rise in the number of those claiming for a longer period of time. Between December 2012 and December 2013, the number of people over 25 claiming JSA for more than 2 years went from 500 to 610. Edward MP Andy Love said, "I welcome any drop in unemployment locally, but it is alarming that the number of over 25s claiming JSA for 2 years in Edmonton is rising substantially. The government must act now before they condemn a whole generation to joblessness. Labour's compulsory jobs guarantee would be the perfect starting point." And the next item is about the police arresting people for burglary, soliciting and drug offences during a day of police action. Officers made 13 arrests on Thursday, January 16th, using intelligence from trading standards, Enfield homes, local faith and community groups to target crime hotspots. These included 4 drug-related arrests, 2 linked to burglary and 1 person wanted for sexual offences. 2 people also arrested for assault, amongst others, theft, soliciting, assisting an offender and public order offences. Detective Inspector Greg Coates said the results achieved and the sheer volume of activity that took place, with 30 separate activities taking place in Upper Edmonton, demonstrate the commitment of the partnership to Operation Hammerhead, tackling crime and antisocial behaviour in Upper Edmonton, and I would like to thank everybody involved.
A mother has spoken of her frustration and sadness at delays that have stalled a thorough and satisfactory investigation of her daughter's death in July 2012. Hannah Defoe of Bush Hill Road, Winchmore Hill, was just 20 when she died while on holiday on the Caribbean island of St. Lucia with her aunt and cousin. The performing arts student, whose motto in life was, "Why walk when you can dance?" was electrocuted after diving into a swimming pool in the luxury resort of Juliet's Lodge Hotel in Vieux Fort, a southern port town on the island. However, despite the family's tireless attempts to get to the truth behind why their daughter died, delays and setbacks in getting information from the St. Lucian authorities have meant that almost 2 years on from Hannah's death, there has still been no complete inquest in either England or St. Lucia. The latest painful twist for the family came just before Christmas, when they were given 24 hours' notice that an inquest had been scheduled in the Caribbean island. Their barrister sent a furious message to the Foreign Office, which, in turn, liaised with the St. Lucian authorities and was able to get the inquest postponed until earlier this month. At short notice, the family made the 8-hour flight to the Paradise Island, but were met with yet another adjournment, as it was only realised at the last minute that a jury was needed for the inquest. This is the 4th adjournment of an official inquiry into how and why Hannah died in such horrific circumstances. Speaking to the Advertiser about the family's ongoing battle to bring someone to account for the circumstances leading to their daughter's death, Hope Defoe, Hannah's mother, said, "What hurts most of all is Hannah loved life. She died not doing a bungee jump or taking a risk. She was taking a swim on holiday, and it beggars belief that to this day we don't know why she died." The next inquest date has been set for March the 5th at North London Coroner's Court in Wood Street, High Barnet. But at this stage, the family's lawyer is unsure if the St. Lucian authorities would have provided the necessary information for the inquest properly to examine what happened. 2 years later, no one can say, "Mrs. Defoe, it was the lighting, it was a one-off, it cannot happen again, and this is what we are doing to the person who did this," added the grieving mother. Although both Mrs. Defoe and her husband have gone back to work, she admitted, "There's nothing now normal about our lives."
If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.